Okay, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is the VLOOKUP function. Now the VLOOKUP function is one that it kind of scares people because they don't understand it and they don't know how to use it. But it's a function that once you get familiar with it, it is so easy to use, it is so handy and useful, and you'll just never look back. Again, like everything, it takes a bit of practice, but once you get used to it, it's absolutely brilliant. So what the VLOOKUP function does is it searches for a value in the first column of a table array and returns a value in the same row from another column in the table array. Okay, so what does that mean in English? Well, how do you use a VLOOKUP then? There are 4 things that need to be entered in the VLOOKUP formula. First is the lookup value. This is the data that is the same in both places. So it's the data that is common between the 2 tables. So the table that you're looking up from and the table that you want to look up to. The table array, this is where you look up the data. So the place with the information you require. The column index number. So select the column number where the information you require will be stored. And the range lookup, what this is you type false into this field if you only want to return the exact value searched for, and true will return the nearest value. Then you hit enter and your formula is complete. Now I have a little tip here, which is don't forget to make the table range absolute. So I'll show you in the example what I mean by this. So it's a crucial thing to do before you finalise your formula. So what we have here in our first example is we have a table here with lots of information in it, with customer ID, department, safety rep, which is blank, so this is the information we're going to be looking for, employee name, billing date and hours worked, etc. So over in this table then, we have our department ID and our safety rep. So if we look at the 2 tables, what information is common to both? Well, it's the department. And what information do we need? It's the safety rep, which we have in our table over here, which we're going to be looking up, and we don't have it in this table, which is where we need it. So what we do is, right, we start at the start. So to use the VLOOKUP formula, equals, we type in VLOOKUP, open bracket, and this brings up these items here that we discussed above. These are the items that we need to enter into the formula to make the formula work. So what's our lookup value? Well, as we said, our lookup value is the thing that is common to both tables. So our lookup value here is our department ID, so it's research. So we select that cell, which is F17. Then you enter your comma. Next thing you put in is your table array. So, as we mentioned above, the table array is the table that you're going to be looking up. So this is our table array, very simply. Comma again. So our column index number, the column number where the information you require is stored. So that is in this table, it's column number 2. We're looking for the name of our safety rep, comma again. And this time we'll enter false in here because we want to return the exact name of the person that we're looking for based on the department ID. Close your bracket, hit enter, and it gives you the safety rep. Okay, so what you usually do then is simply copy down your formula. Now, we've forgotten to do one crucial step on purpose because I want to show you what happens when you copy down this formula without doing the step that I'm going to show you in 1 second. So as you'll see, you have all of these NA, non-applicable, non-applicable. The reason is that, let's just click on this formula for a second. What you'll see is, it's looking up L25 to M29. So it's no longer looking up this table here. What we need to do is, as I mentioned, we need to make the table absolute. The way to do this is press F4 when the cursor is on the... Oh, edit undo. Okay, we need to go back up to our formula. Sorry, it's pressing the wrong button there. So edit. Undo typing. Okay, so we need to make our table absolute. Press F4, go in here, press F4 again. And now we can drag it down. So there you go, we have it. So what we have done is we have made L17 to M21 absolute, so all the time we are looking up that table array. Let's just say, for example, we wanted to change Tom Jones' name to Tom Ryan, for example. See that everywhere over here it would change to Tom Ryan. So when you change the information in your table array, the formula automatically looks up the new information and it will change everywhere that that formula is. Okay, so that's the first VLOOKUP example. Now we're going to go on and we're going to look at a different VLOOKUP example. So it's the same idea here. So in this one what we have is we have a product description and cost, which are blank. We also have a code number. And over in this table here we have the code number, product description and cost again, but this time the product description and cost are filled in. So simple VLOOKUP formula equals VLOOKUP, open bracket. So what's the lookup value? Well, the lookup value is that which is common to both, which is their product description, comma, our table array is this table here. Now, don't forget, we need to make it absolute. You can press F4 right here and it will make it absolute for you, so you don't need to go back and do it later. Comma again, column index number, so our product description is in column 2. And again, we're going to say false, because we wanted to look up the exact value. This time, when you drag it down, you will see that the formula, because it's absolute, it drags it down correctly and there's no need to make any adjustment. So then you want to look up the cost equals VLOOKUP. It would be handy if I spelled lookup correctly. So your lookup value again is your code number, common to both. Your table array once more is this table over here. Make it absolute. Very, very important. Always remember that. Well, you'll know fairly quickly if you've done it wrong because the formula just won't work. Column index number this time is 3, and once more we want to look up the exact value, so we type in false. So the cost is $22.50, which we can see is correct. There you go. Very simple VLOOKUP formula. Now we're going to do one just a small bit different. In this example what we have is we have an invoice total over here, we also have an amount over here, and then we have a discount rate percentage. But what you will notice is that the invoice totals don't exactly match the invoice totals over here all of the time. So in this case, instead of typing in false, if we want to get the discount amount, we're going to have to type in true, because we're not going to find a value for 11,000, but we are going to find a value for 15,000, and the discount rate is 40% for that, and so on. Okay, so I'll just show you what I mean in practice. So equals VLOOKUP. Lookup value is your invoice total. So you can see that invoice total is equal to your amount, comma, your table array. So here's our table we want to look up, comma again. The column index number this time is column number 2, because here the rate is in column 2, which is what we're trying to look up. Oh, forgot one very important step here, of course. Don't forget that. Shows how easy it can happen. So your column index number, as I said, column number 2. This time, if we typed in false, we wouldn't get a result for most of these. So we're going to type in true. Close bracket, hit enter, and there you go. So what we're saying is for 50, we get a discount rate of 10%, because 50 is closest to 0. So that works. We're going to drag down our formula. Okay, so what we have here is 15%, yes, that's correct, 20%, 11,000, 30%, for 15,000. Okay, so some of these, oh yes, so what haven't I done? I've only made one part of the table absolute, so we're going to have to delete that formula again and just, so this is what happens, you know, you make mistakes and you have to go back and you need to correct them. So we've only made one part of this formula absolute, so we also need to make the second part. Now when we drag down our formula, we should get the correct answer. So, there you go. Very simple. Okay, so lastly then what we're going to do is, for what is the total discount then, very simply, just enter in your formula 50 multiplied by 10%, hit return. So there's your total discount, £5. Then of course if you want to see what your total invoice amount is, you just put in a formula here which is equal to C32 minus E32. And that's how that works. Okay. Well, you save, don't forget as you're going along to save it, or hit your Control S, as we saw in our keyboard shortcut section. And the last example that I'm going to run through with you before I allow you to do your own is this example where the information that you require is actually in a different worksheet. So again, it's the exact same thing, even though the information is not on that worksheet, it's the same process. So what we're trying to look up here is the tax rate for a certain salary amount. So it's equals VLOOKUP. What's common to both is your salary, comma. Your table array, for this you have to go into this to another worksheet. Very simply, just click on it, select your table. Don't forget to make your table absolute. Comma once more. Your column index number is column 2. We're looking for the tax rate. This time we're going to hit false. And there you have it. So for a salary of 10,000, there's a tax rate of 15%. You drag that down, and there you get all your different tax rates. Your taxable pay then is just your taxable pay amount multiplied by your tax rate. Perfect. Drag it down. And again, if you want to figure out your net pay, very simply then, you have your salary minus your tax payable gives you your net pay. So that's just a simple minus formula. Okay? So that's all the examples I'm going to go through with you. Now what I want you to do is look at sample VLOOKUP 4. So if you could open up your laptops, do VLOOKUP sample 4, I'll be going around the room and then we'll go through the solution once you have it done. And like I said, have any questions, stick up your hand, ask me and I'll come down to you. Okay? Thank you.